This one's really interesting. This is maybe my favorite question. What do you wish you would have learned from your parents about relationships? I know, I love that question. You guys, I've got some dude who's just decided during my filming that he is going to do some project outside. So please forgive the noise. I'm so sorry. We're just gonna have to work through it. And you know, if you hear the cops come, you know that I've gone over there and put something over his mouth, or I should say, had his hand so he can't work anymore. I know it sounds very aggressive from a therapist, but I'm not happy about this. Anyway, with that said, what do you wish you had learned from your parents about relationships?
My parents are divorced. My dad is remarried. My mom didn't remarry, just to give a little background. But my parents still get along well. I feel like I came from a, let me see.
You're from Caribbean culture,
Yeah.
and so, I have quite a few clients.
Yeah.
Caribbean culture, and so there's a real sense of, you talked about tribe.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like your parents have found a good way of co-parenting.
They did.
And showing up for you.
Yes, they definitely are very supportive and show up for me. And even in the divorce, like, everything wasn't always like great. However, like, I know there are things that, like, my dad has, like, appreciated my mom for, and told her, like, when I graduated high school, he appreciated, even in the midst of a divorce, how she prioritized certain things when it came to, like, my siblings and I, as far as, like, choosing the perfect, making sure we're in the best school system. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's little things like that. So they do have, like, a good relationship, as an example. But there's so many things. Like, my parents got married very young. My mom was 19. My dad was in the Army. So I think with them, being young parents, I see where things have went wrong with them, and I see what led to that divorce for them. I will say what I learned about relationships, that's hard. I wouldn't say hard, but that openness that my parents and I have now, I feel like we should have had that openness at an earlier age versus like later in life, when I, like, in college and stuff like that. I think that counseling probably should have been a priority to see communication. But like I said, that goes back to them being married young. So I see what the root was. And
it's at a time, I don't think, where couples counseling just was not the thing to do.
No.
And Deanna's parents are my age, and it just wasn't the thing to do. And when I started out, as a therapist, and there's a lot of bad stigmas about therapists, and I also think that marriage, if I could just add this one little thing, is marriage. What marriage and partnership, whether you're married or just decide to have a lifelong partner, it means different things than it did, so to speak, back in the day, like the 80s, per se. And that partnership was about, back in the 80s, about joining two people together who were in love, who decided that they were going to form a relationship, but they didn't necessarily have to be everything to each other. But because millennials now live so far away from parents, a lot of times people don't have cousins, extended family in the place that they live, there's more pressure, and we know this from the research too, that there's more pressure on one's partner. Now a partner should be somebody who grows you. Your partner should be somebody who adds to your wealth, or you're moving in this particular direction, where it was much simpler back in the 80s. Hey, boo, I like you, you like me. Hey, let's join our houses, let's have kids. You've got a career, I've got a career. but you weren't necessarily, and I know it sounds like I'm making fun, but it really wasn't about growing your partner. Now people look at partnership as, okay, is this person going to make me better? Am I better off on my own, or do they bring something to the table? That's not the kinds of questions that people were asking in the 80s. So there is more pressure on individuals to be more, to bring more to the table with the partnership. Before it was more about love, and it's about love now too, but also about these other things. Who are you? We know that if you're in a certain socioeconomic background, you're less likely to get married, and those are hard. This hard data that's starting to come out. That if you're college educated, you're more likely to get married. And guys, please don't. I'm not the researcher. I just read what's out there. It doesn't sound very good. Where it used to be, back in the 80s, if you made $20K a year, you're more likely to marry somebody who made $20K a year. Now it's, if you make a certain amount, you're not as likely to get married. So it used to be that there would be compatibility. Now it's, you're not marriage material. And that's something that we're seeing with millennials. I know it sounds very discouraging. When I read it, I literally read it 2 or 3 times. Anyway, it's not great data, but that's what we're seeing. Anyway, I can't remember. A lot of the research I use is from a Stanford professor, and if you guys want to know who he is, I can also put it in the comments. Just ask me, and I'll go back to his book. But it's pretty powerful data. So when people say, hey, are we equally yoked? There's a lot of meaning behind that. And are you a desirable partner? What do you bring to the table? And that's honestly, like, I met my husband, I'm like, hey, I just have fun with you. We have the same sense of humor. You know, it didn't matter that we both went to college. It felt like, because we had more in common, but I also dated guys who hadn't gone to college. It didn't kind of occur to me as much. And I think that matters much more to millennials. And again, because you guys are the most brilliant, educated, I'm not trying to give you a big head, again, most stressed out, anxiety-ridden, depression-ridden, but you guys are superstars in the education department. And so there's more pressure to be more. Let me ask another question.
Hold on. I want to comment on a couple of things, because like I said, a lot of us that are millennials are breaking generational curses. Like I said, we are changing the trajectory of the lives that we are leading, which but you know, there are some entrepreneurs that are doing amazing and making a lot of money that didn't go to college. You know what I'm saying? They went and are like, you know, it's some plumbers out here that picked up that trade and have their own business and opened up branches and stuff like that. But
I totally agree.
Yeah.
But I do think that my generation, if someone was a plumber, that was seen as a profession, and now people see if somebody uses their hands. And remember, guys, I'm talking broad strokes. There may be a lot of you that don't have that opinion. And so I'm really not trying to be as offensive as much as I'm telling you what I'm hearing. And no, I 100% agree with you. The average plumber or electrician makes more than the average white collar worker. And yet there's this stigma that I just don't get, like that it is there. And for whatever reason,
I got my standards, but I have an open mind as far as careers.
I love that. I have my standards, but I have an open mind. That is probably the statement of this. I love that. I really, truly, I do.
Because life will surprise you. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, like, you know, some standards is just like, I'm not compromising that, you know?
Yeah, I hear you.
Because, you know, some people really are still out here settling for the sake of marriage. You know, like you said, the millennials are like stressed out. super stressed out. You know, a lot of them live their life by a checklist, and they got to be this, you know, by a certain age, and that some of that stress comes from what they put on themselves to accomplish. But I just want to throw that in there a little bit.
Well, speaking of checklist, here's here's my big question. Does size matter? Does it matter? I want you to be, come on, bring it. Does it really matter?
You know, I have been asked this question so many different ways and so many times. It's like, what if this person is just like everything that you want, and, you know, it's just like far exceeding your expectations. They love you. They're providing, you know, y'all have fun. Your chemistry's there, you know, but they have a strip. Yeah,
because they can't do anything about that.
No, I mean, well, now they can. Dr. Miami's doing like penis extensions.
Please,
so,
man,
I mean, shoot,
please,
it's 2021.
man, stay away from that. I don't like that. Oh.
Yeah, you might get some early erectile dysfunction.
Yeah, poor guys.
Yeah. I don't want to answer that one.
Okay, well, that's fair. I completely respect that if you choose not to.
It goes so. Can we? Because yes and no. It's so. Chantel, we can go so deep.
I will tell you, in my professional opinion, it really matters about the love you have from this person, and, you know, the way you show up as a lover.
Yeah, you got to have an open mind, and you got to know how to please. I'm gonna leave it like that. Can we cut that out?
We can go, no, this is good, the way you answered it.
No, I don't want to answer it like that, because this is like, no. I sound so indecisive, but at the same time, it's just like...
There are a lot of people who are indecisive who say, you know what, I'm a Democrat, but I believe in the death penalty, or I don't want my taxes raised, or, you know what, so it's okay not to have all the answers. It really, that's not what this is about. It's really about to stimulate everyone's thoughts, to know that there's inclusivity and room for everyone's opinion, that not everybody's the same. And so here's the last question.
To an extent, it does. To an extent.
Extent. I love the word extent.
It matters. However, I mean, you gotta have an open mind. You know, it's just to an extent, yes. You know what I'm saying? Please me. You know, let that be the edit. Let that be the edit. Everything else, just like, you know, cut out the part of the. I don't want to answer that. To an extent, yes, size does matter, but at the same time, there are some compromises. You gotta have an open mind. You gotta know how to please. You know. You know, it's my job to know the data, and only 1/3 of women actually have orgasm from penetration. Yeah. So that means that a lot of other things, and so I guess because I'm armed with all that information, and because I talk to couples, individuals, that, and we know 1/3 of women, that means reliably have orgasm. And lots of things have to align. You know, he has to be hitting the G spot, the right. His penis has to be aligned with her vagina. And a lot of times that is not size. No, and it just is a luck of the. It can be, but it can be also anatomy, just good old fashioned anatomy. And again, if technique was the thing, we wouldn't have the stat that 1/3, only 1/3 of women reliably have, I mean, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't have orgasm. So, you know what, guys, I'm going to say, do you? Yeah. Like, aim to please. Don't be a selfish lover. You know what I'm saying? And, like, you know, because sometimes it can be a little too big as well, and can mess up your insides if you don't know how to handle that, you know? So, like I said, to an extent, size does matter, yes and no, but, you know what you're doing. And if you loving that woman right, and you know what you're doing, just, you know,
I see what you're saying too, because I always think when I ask size does it matter? I always think if a man has a smaller penis, but you're also saying if you've got a big one, you know, ease up, know how to use it, because that couldn't be. That's not always pleasurable as well.
Yeah, it's just you know, just know, like, when you love a person, that's also a totally different thing. You know what I'm saying? You're into each other. Make sure you have an open mind and not like super sensitive to broach the subject. It's just, this question is just, it goes deep. Like it's conversation.
I love it.
There's so much to say,
and it goes deep.
It's so much to say. It's so much to say when it comes to it. From my perspective, there's a lot to say when it comes to it. But like at the end of the day, like, don't just be. Can I curse?
Oh yeah, I think you can.
Okay.
Can we curse? We're gonna ask our cameraman. Can we curse?
Because it's just like, don't just be out here fucking the fuck.
It's YouTube, right? We can curse.
Oh yeah, you know. Yeah. Oh Lord.
Patrick's in the movie industry. He does all my videos and stuff. He tells me what I can do. I love when we talk to him because I feel like it's late night a little bit. Yeah. You know how Stephen Colbert talks to, like, you know, the people in the band. What's his name? Stephen Colbert's guy? Is it Kevin? Or is that Jimmy Fallon's guy? Or Jimmy Kimmel's guy? I don't know. Anyway.
I don't know.
No, the Roots. Who?
Jimmy
Fallon? Yeah.
Okay.
It's
just love, like, you know, prioritize the moral of the story is, don't be selfish. Prioritize the pleasure of that woman, especially if you guys are in a relationship or whatever. But if you just, you know, fucking the fuck, I mean, but you still want to prioritize that pleasure of the woman. Always do that, you know what I'm saying? Because y'all gonna get y'all regardless, you know? But at the same, you have to prioritize me. You know, like, prioritize the woman. And that's, it goes deep. Can you edit to this, like really good? You know, some parts cut, you know?
Don't worry about it.
But prioritize the woman, period. You know, when you with somebody, prioritize her needs. That goes hand in hand. Like, sex is important in a relationship as well. Your sexual chemistry, like that chemistry, that is important. You know, at the same time, it goes hand in hand. You know, just prioritize her pleasure as well.
Okay.
The end.